Quick notice. If you're interested in YouTube, don't forget to grab my book, How to Start a YouTube Channel from 0 to 100,000 Subscribers. And by the way, it's completely free. Now, let's get back to the video. You're probably here with some doubt, thinking the title isn't true and was just written to grab your attention. But I can assure you, it's absolutely real. If you believe that neither you, your father, nor your grandfather have ever been controlled using the same method, you're wrong. And if you think this method won't work on your future son or even your grandson, you're mistaken again. Today, I'm going to give you a glimpse into real dark psychology. Just a glimpse, because once you truly understand it, you'll start seeing everything around you as nothing more than traps, illusions, endless loops that keep you going until you fade away. That leaves you with two choices. Live in the illusion. Lose your mind from the bitterness of reality. If you've been following me for a while and have used even 5% of your brain, you'll already know that armies aren't there to protect you. That's obvious. They're not there to protect your family or your country. Armies exist to protect the authority that controls them, the same authority that controls companies, streets, the internet, everything you see around you. But if we take a closer look, we'll realize that armies are just people like you and me, people with problems, lives, and families. Yet, they follow orders without question. They're willing to kill, even if the person is innocent, just because they were ordered to. Even worse, they're willing to sacrifice themselves if the command demands it. Now, the first thing that might have come to your mind is, well, yeah, that's a soldier's job, following orders. But let me ask you, who planted this belief in you? Were you born with it? Is it natural? Or were you taught and conditioned to accept it? Do you really think it's normal for a soldier, who could be you, to obey orders blindly, even when they're wrong? Today, I'm going to tell you about Milgram's experiment, a psychological study from the last century designed to measure how far people would go in following orders from an authority figure. The results were so disturbing that even the experiment supervisors were shocked. In 2006, a university published a newspaper ad seeking volunteers for an experiment. The reward? $4.50 per hour. Many men between the ages of 20 and 50 signed up, some with PhDs, others who hadn't even finished high school. The experiment had 2 rooms. Before it started, the supervisor, let's call him A, explained the process to the participant, we'll call him B, and a hidden actor pretending to be a participant, we'll call him C. The cover story? They were testing how punishment affects learning. But in reality, the true goal was to measure how much B would comply with orders from A. The roles were assigned through a fake draw, ensuring B always became the teacher, while C played the student. Since B thought the draw was random, he believed his role was purely by chance. Now, C, the actor, was placed in a separate room, out of sight but within hearing range. Before starting, he lied and said he had a heart condition, a subtle warning that he couldn't handle strong electric shocks. To make things feel real, B was given a minor shock of 45 volts, just to experience what he'd supposedly be giving to C. In front of B was a shock generator with buttons ranging from 30 volts up to 450 volts. The task was simple. B read pairs of words for C to memorize. Then, B would say one word from the pair, and C had to pick the correct match from 4 choices. If C got it wrong, B had to press the shock button, increasing the voltage with each mistake. Here's the twist, C wasn't actually getting shocked. Instead, pre-recorded screams played each time B pressed the button. At first, C simply groaned in pain. After a few mistakes, he begged for the experiment to stop. Later, he started banging on the wall, screaming that his heart was failing. At this point, some participants, B, hesitated. Some stopped at 135 volts, questioning the experiment. Others continued after being reassured they weren't responsible for the consequences. A few even laughed nervously while increasing the shocks. Whenever B wanted to stop, the supervisor, A, gave a series of verbal prompts. Please continue. The experiment requires you to continue. It is essential that you continue. You have no other choice, you must continue. If B still refused, the experiment ended. But if he obeyed, the test continued until he delivered the 450-volt shock, a fatal level. And now, the results. Milgram initially predicted that only 1% of people would go all the way to 450 volts. But the reality? 65% of participants delivered the deadly shock. Even when they were uncomfortable, even when they doubted the experiment, they still followed orders. Later, the same experiment was conducted in different countries, and the results were almost identical, with obedience rates ranging between 61% and 66%. Now, what about the 35% who stopped before reaching 450 volts? Not a single one of them ended the experiment without permission. Even when they suspected something was wrong, they still asked for approval before stopping. And here's the real shock. 85% of participants rated the experiment as enjoyable. 15% said they didn't mind it. Not a single one felt guilt or remorse. Some even thanked Milgram and asked to volunteer for future experiments. One participant later admitted, "I knew I was causing pain, but I didn't understand why." This experiment proves that with the right conditions, anyone can be manipulated into following orders, even if it means harming others. And to give you a real-life example, there was a con artist who tricked restaurant managers into strip-searching their employees over the phone, pretending to be a police officer. He successfully pulled this off 70 times before getting caught. So, let me leave you with this final question. If an ordinary supervisor could manipulate grown men into shocking someone to death, what could governments do with actual authority, weapons, and power over your income? What do you think happens when disobedience means prison or worse? Think about it.